Welcome back. We have been discussing with four veterans of the Indian markets and the Indian economy what will be or what should be the top agenda of the new boss of Mint Street. We still don't know the name, but whoever the next RBI governor has formidable tasks. We just discussed what he will be up against with a monetary policy committee and a new fiscal responsibility panel, as well the problems he will face in terms of keeping liquidity and the rupee stable in an extremely treacherous world. But the biggest problem is going to be the bad loan issue. And it's a task half done. Actually, let me get VG Kannan first on that. Mr. Kannan, as a banker, are you worried that the man who started it is not still there to finish the task? I mean, it was an accelerated recognition, and halfway through there is a change of guard with the NPA issue only partly resolved. Are you worried?
From the banker's point of view, it is business as usual, and we feel that whoever comes will be in a position to take forward the steps taken earlier and see the resolution of the stress assets. And that is, of course, a big challenge not only for the governor but also for the banking system. Steps to redress this situation, the various steps like SDR, S4A have also been given by the Reserve Bank of India. How it pans out, how the bankers are in a position to get new players, the identification of the non-sustainable debt are all something being closely watched. We have started seeing some signs of some companies coming forward and being identified. Let's see, wait and watch, and I'm quite hopeful that this time around there will be more resolutions.
Mr. Purwar, all these instruments that Kannan is talking about, the sustainable debt being hived off, unsustainable debt, and then trying to make the company viable, or trying to find new parties. Is it working? I mean, you're seeing it as an outsider. You have seen a bit of the NBFC space. Are assets being reconstructed at all?
You see, let us look at the context in which it has happened. See, last 10, 12 years, 15 years, the assets have accumulated, bad assets have accumulated. Many of these are in infrastructure sector, where last mile issues are there, which the present government is somewhere is trying to address, particularly the road sector in a very big way. And there are some which, because of the global industry issues which has happened. And thirdly, that there are genuine cases. So restructuring is happening. What present governor has succeeded in very carefully doing is that he has put the issue in such a way that today a borrower who has not been truthful in his is coming to the bank to try to settle the issue, trying to bring out the proposals, trying to bring out the packages so that he can come out of the system. Earlier, bankers used to call on him. Today, it is somewhat different. He comes to the bank and tries to. So that kind of change and approach has taken place. But having said that, we must remember that last 50 years, 70 years, we have built up a lot of industries. There are a lot of honest people. Domain expertise in certain critical areas have been built up. We should work in such a way that these honest and upright people, industries, particularly in the small and medium sector, get protected, get restructured. And that expertise is not lost to the system.
What is your sense? Is it that these small and medium enterprises, see, larger, you cannot buy perhaps an SR up. It's difficult. But what about the medium MSME sector? Are you seeing enough ARCs or stressed asset funds, special funds?
Unfortunately, no. I mean, those are the areas where I think perhaps a little more amount of work will be required. What has happened that perhaps in the present era, where the speed at which the NPAs got converted and resolution of these issues was expected to be done and classification as NPA was taking place, I think that kind of a speed requires some kind of fine-tuning, where a little more time perhaps to some of the genuine cases. If you say somebody is dishonest, integrity is a question, do whatever you feel like. But where these issues are not there, perhaps some more flexibility in the system is warranted.
Well, if time permitting, I'll go to Virmani to ask whether this time around we will have the advantage which you guys had in 2003. In 2003, you got growth to resolve a lot of problems, but time permitting. The final question I wanted to ask you is, this financial inclusion and giving loans to SMEs that Rajan refers to, that's actually taken off. I mean, both HDFC Bank and Capital First have bought algorithms which are able to reasonably find out how small enterprises have become creditworthy. Even if you can't do the legwork of due diligence, the algos are able to do due diligence, and a reasonable amount of money is going. And even the Mudra Bank, I don't know how that works. So do you think that SMEs now are getting more money than they used to get? Will that be the big challenge for the new governor, to just expand the...
Well, I have a little different take on this. I would put it this way, that SMEs perhaps are not getting that kind of, I would say, treatment, the issue, the kind of attention which is required. But what is definitely happening is on the financial inclusion side, a lot of things are happening on the smaller of the things. And
MFI.
And huge amount of activity is taking place there. And if you know, in SBI, we have seen that the smaller side, particularly the self-help group side, any amount of lending has been good credit. Has always, mostly 99% has come back. It is only in the SME and mid-corporate sector and large corporate sector that there have been issues.
Okay, running out of time, but Anant, you'll be best placed as being in a cutting-edge bank. This whole payment revolution, unified payment interface and payment banks and this big digital revolution, will that be a very big challenge for the next governor? And does that mean that he will have to be a younger and a person in service? That people above 60 or, you know, closer to 70 simply will not be able to manage this challenge? Is that the biggest challenge for digitization? You know, I'm not able to manage digitization in the communication space as well as my junior colleagues can. That's why I'm asking you this.
I was just going to say, Latha, that it's not just a challenge for the governor. It's a challenge for all of us. Frankly, we're all becoming dinosaurs there. No, absolutely. Look, the nature of banking is changing. Technology is impacting us in a big way, in a positive way. So, you know, just as WhatsApp has taken over SMSs, clearly banking, the nature of daily banking is going to change as well. But I think the starting point for banks to be able to innovate and invest in digitization and provide better services to clients, etc., we still have to fill up the hole of capital in banks. And not all of it will come through purely with a comeback of growth. Yes, with growth coming back, things like maybe the capital required for growth will be provided for through internal accruals. But remember that what we have discovered from out of AQR so far is that the net gross NPAs, NPAs are actually grown significantly.
Absolutely.
So the level of reserves kept aside or provisions kept aside is quite low. 40% is quite low. $20 billion is required just to bring provisions up to the right level. Plus, we have watch lists, which, as your graphic indicated, by April 17, March 17, the number will actually go up even further. Plus, we have Basel III requirements of capital conservation buffer, DSIBs, and so on and so forth. There's an enormous amount of capital required, which needs to kind of irrigate the banks a little more so that they can then spend time and energy and investments into digitization, etc. That is a big challenge for the governor. So AQR is one part of the story. Finding the solution to the AQR from a banking perspective and ensuring capitalization of banks, I think that's the big challenge.
Okay, sir, completely out of time, but Dr. Virmani, just one last word. Do you think the next governor will have the advantage of growth at all? Or do you think that advantage really may not come?
Well, you know, when we are talking about growth, you're talking about corporate growth.
Yes.
And that links back to the point I was making, that understanding, you know, this changed economy, because that issue of data, etc., is not just an issue of data. It's a question of understanding how the economy is functioning and how to deal with it. But on the banking thing, let me just give you a little global perspective. What we know from many crises across the world is that it's very important to agree on a compromise or whatever solution and act fast on it. The countries which have come out of this kind of a problem are the ones who decided something, started acting on it as quick as possible and did something, not the ones which kept discussing forever and ever.
That's true. No, I take your point, Dr. Virmani, Mr. Kannan, Anant, Mr. Purwar. Out of time, thank you very much for enriching this conversation. Clearly, the new governor will probably face even bigger challenges than Rahuram Rajan. And as Anand said, it is going to be very difficult to come with the same level of credibility. So he has to ensure that India's macros remain unchallenged, that the inflation fighting image of RBI is retained. At the same time, the credibility of the banking system is maintained, that it is capable of handling, that it is honest enough to recognize the NPAs and has the capability and the capital to deal with those NPLs. These are very, very tall challenges for the next man. Thank you very much for joining me in this edition of Indianomics.